Why 40% of people earning $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. There is a doctor in Chicago earning $380,000 a year. She drives a leased BMW, her kids attend private school, she eats at restaurants most weeknights, her mortgage payment is $4,200 a month. From the outside, she looks exactly like what wealth is supposed to look like. She cannot come up with $5,000 without selling something or going into debt. This is not a hypothetical. According to a 2025 Goldman Sachs report, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Among those earning over $500,000, 40% report the same. Read that again. 4 out of 10 people earning $500,000 a year feel they have no financial cushion. They earn more in a single month than many Americans earn in an entire year. And they experience the same financial anxiety as someone making a fraction of their salary. This is called the high-income poverty trap, and it does not care how much you make, it only cares how much you keep. The data that breaks the assumption. The assumption most people carry is simple: income solves financial problems, hit 6 figures and the stress disappears, cross $200,000 and you are set, reach $500,000 and money becomes irrelevant. The data tells a completely different story. Americans earning $100,000 annually are more likely to report living paycheck to paycheck than those earning $50,000, as higher income correlates with higher reported financial strain in certain brackets. 48% of those earning $100,000 or more feel they are living paycheck to paycheck, according to a PYMNTS study in 2025. 36% of those earning over $200,000 report the same. Bank of America's analysis, defining paycheck to paycheck as spending more than 95% of income on necessities, found approximately 20% of households earning over $150,000 qualify. Total U.S. credit card debt reached $1.277 trillion in Q4 2025, the highest level since tracking began in 1999. Up 66% since the pandemic lows of early 2021. 36% of credit card holders earning $100,000 or more carry a balance from month to month. The U.S. personal savings rate stood at just 3.6% in December 2025. These are not people who cannot do math, they are highly educated professionals in demanding careers. They understand compound interest and retirement projections. They know they should save more. The trap operates on psychology, not arithmetic. How the trap actually works. When income increases, spending increases in direct proportion. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it happens so gradually that most people never notice it happening. A $15 lunch becomes a $25 lunch. The Honda becomes a BMW, the adequate apartment becomes a house with a guest room nobody uses. Each individual upgrade feels reasonable, you earned it, you can afford it, the math technically works. But the upgrades compound while the savings rate stays flat. And once a luxury becomes routine, downgrading feels like deprivation rather than returning to normal. That is the mechanism. Not one big reckless decision, 100 small reasonable ones that lock into place until the entire income is committed before the month ends. The fixed cost trap makes it worse. When you earn $50,000, your housing cost is constrained by what landlords will approve. When you earn $300,000, you qualify for mortgages that stretch your budget just as thin, but with much larger numbers attached. A family earning $80,000 might spend $2,000 monthly on housing. A family earning $300,000 might spend $8,000. Both families allocate a similar percentage of income to shelter. Both feel equally constrained. The higher income family simply has more expensive problems. Private school tuition. Multiple car payments, vacation home carrying costs, country club memberships, these function as fixed costs once established. Pulling a child from private school feels impossible. Selling the vacation home feels like failure. Downgrading the car feels like a public admission that things are not going well. The trap tightens precisely because the lifestyle is so difficult to reverse. What high earners actually do with their money. Discretionary spending data reveals where the money disappears. According to Empower 2025 data, food delivery spending averages $179 per month, up 10.2% year over year. That is $2,148 annually on food delivery alone. Streaming services are up 12.5%. Rideshare spending is up 7.9%. Each individual expense is small. Nobody notices the gradual accumulation until the total has quietly become significant money that disappears without providing lasting value. The high-income version of this involves larger categories and identical psychology. First class instead of economy, hotels instead of Airbnb. Restaurants instead of cooking. Each upgrade feels minor. Together they require every dollar of a very large salary to maintain. According to Clarify Capital Research, six-figure earners are already showing signs of strain. 47% are delaying dream vacations. 31% are stalling home renovations. 26% are postponing car purchases. 17% are pushing back home purchases. They recognize they are stretched thin. They have not yet changed the underlying spending patterns that created the constraint. The comparison accelerating everything. Lifestyle creep has always existed. What changed is visibility. Social media shows everyone's renovations, vacations, and purchases in real time. A 2025 Goldman Sachs report explicitly cited keeping up with the Joneses as a measurable driver of paycheck-to-paycheck living among high earners. Six-figure workers feel pressure to match peer spending even when the math does not support it. The comparison is no longer just against neighbors. It is against everyone visible in a feed filtered to show only the highlights, people who may be even more leveraged than they are. The goalpost effect compounds this further. The Charles Schwab 2025 Modern Wealth Survey found that Americans believe you need $2.3 million to be considered wealthy. You need $839,000 just to feel financially comfortable. The median net worth of American households is approximately $193,000. 63% said it feels like it takes more money to be wealthy today compared to last year. Someone achieves $500,000 in net worth and looks up to find that comfortable now requires $839,000. They reach $1 million and discover wealthy now means $2.3 million. The definition of enough keeps moving. No amount ever arrives at satisfaction because the target is not fixed, it is social. Regional costs amplify the trap significantly. San Francisco residents say you need $4.4 million to be considered wealthy. Southern California, $3.4 million. New York, $2.9 million. A $300,000 income in Kansas City funds a dramatically different life than the same income in Manhattan. Coastal salaries and coastal costs often cancel each other out entirely, leaving high earners feeling genuinely constrained despite numbers that should suggest otherwise. What actual millionaires look like. The research on people who actually accumulate wealth tells a story that directly contradicts how most high earners live. From the Millionaire next door and supporting 2025 research, 94% of millionaires live in middle-class or modest neighborhoods. 62% of everyday millionaires still budget, shop deals, and avoid extravagant lifestyles after crossing the $1 million threshold. The typical millionaire has rarely spent more than $399 on a single article of clothing. About 60% live in homes worth less than $500,000. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he purchased in 1958 for $31,500. 73% of millionaires have never carried a credit card balance. 79% are self-made, no inheritance. Only 31% averaged $100,000 or more in annual income over their careers. The average millionaire crossed the $1 million threshold at age 49 after approximately 28 years of consistent saving and investing. The people who actually build wealth behave nothing like the people who appear wealthy. The doctor driving the leased BMW looks richer than the contractor who drives a 10-year-old truck, but the contractor has $2 million in investments and a savings rate that has never dropped below 20%. The Millionaire Next Door formula: multiply your age by your pre-tax annual household income, then divide by 10. That is what your net worth should be at minimum. A 50-year-old earning $250,000 should have approximately $1.25 million in net worth. Those below this threshold are underaccumulators, earning income and spending income without building wealth in between. Most high earners fail this test, many fail it dramatically. The savings rate is the whole story. The U.S. personal savings rate in December 2025, 3.6%. Americans are saving approximately $36 of every $1,000 in disposable income. During the pandemic peak in April 2020, the savings rate hit 33.8%. That discipline evaporated as quickly as it arrived. What the math looks like over 20 years on a $300,000 income. At a 5% savings rate, that is $15,000 annually, producing roughly $650,000 after 20 years at a 7% return. At a 15% savings rate, that is $45,000 annually, producing roughly $1,960,000. At a 30% savings rate, that is $90,000 annually, producing roughly $3,920,000. The difference between a 5% and a 30% savings rate on the same $300,000 income is approximately $3.27 million over 20 years. That is the measurable cost of the high-income poverty trap, not in theory, in dollars over a working lifetime. Research from the Millionaire Next Door found that millionaires typically invest at least 15% of annual income before paying for anything else. They treat savings as non-negotiable. Not aspirational, non-negotiable. The difference between 4% and 15% is not a rounding error. It is the difference between retiring comfortably and still working at 70. Why more income is not the answer. The doctor making $380,000 could save $100,000 annually if she chose to. The income is sufficient, the spending prevents it. 77% of Americans do not feel financially comfortable regardless of what they earn. The problem is not income, the problem is the assumption that income and financial security are the same thing. They are not. They have almost nothing to do with each other beyond a basic threshold. Financial security is the gap between what you earn and what you spend, multiplied by time. A $200,000 income with a 30% savings rate builds wealth faster than a $400,000 income with a 5% savings rate. The math is not complicated, the behavior is. How to break the trap. The escape route exists but requires confronting one question most people actively avoid. What is all this spending actually for? Not as a judgment, as an audit. Every recurring expense deserves an honest answer to whether it still delivers value proportional to its cost. Often the answer is no. Subscriptions go unused, square footage goes unoccupied, vehicles go underdriven, memberships provide status more than utility. The principle that works at every income level, saving what is left after spending, does not work. Spending what is left after saving does. Someone earning $400,000 who automates $120,000 annually to investments will build generational wealth regardless of how they spend the remaining $280,000. They will still live extremely well. They will simply live less well than someone earning the same amount and saving nothing. After 20 years of consistent investing, one person has generational wealth. The other has lifestyle memories and minimal assets. The math is the same for every income level. Automate the savings first, spend the rest, never reverse the order. The real takeaway. 40% of people earning $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Total credit card debt hit all-time highs, while incomes were near record levels. 77% of Americans do not feel financially comfortable regardless of what they earn. The evidence is conclusive. Income alone does not create financial security. Only the intentional gap between what you earn and what you spend, held consistently over time, creates the security that high earners assume their salary should automatically provide. The trap is real. It catches people at every income level. And it is almost invisible from the inside because every spending decision that built it felt reasonable at the time. Breaking it starts with one shift. Stop optimizing for how your financial life looks and start optimizing for what it is actually building. The doctor in Chicago earns enough to never worry about money again. She just has to decide that is more important than the BMW.